guys! Today's video is going to be all about Etsy and how to start an Etsy shop because I've gotten a lot of questions about it and I have my own Etsy shop, so I thought I would share whatever knowledge I have with you guys because it's a really fun hobby, it's a really fun way to make some extra money, it's a fun way for me to not feel bad about buying things online that I don't necessarily need because I'm like, hey, I have $50 in my PayPal account from my last sale, I can buy a pair of shoes. So getting started, I just want to tell you guys, having an Etsy shop is actually a lot more work than you would think. You're not just gonna like post one thing and then it's gonna sell. It's a lot different from eBay in that it's more of a social system and it's more based on storefront rather than on eBay where it's like specific items and people are looking for specific things and you follow them and you have this social stream that when you log in you see all of the items that they've liked, all the treasury lists they've made. You have to groom your store. You have to have a specific kind of item that you're going to sell, whether it be vintage things or handmade stuff. I sell vintage items. Most of my items are clothing. I do have some like accessories and like random other things that my mom finds that I sell, but most of the time it's clothes, shoes, stuff like that. That's one aspect of Etsy that you can start a shop in. And the other aspect is handmade stuff, and Etsy is one of several different websites. I know Store Envy is another one. If you make like jewelry, if you make clothes, if you make hair accessories, if you make nerdy book things, there's a lot of like handmade journals that I've seen on Etsy that I actually really want to buy. Baby clothes, baby toys, stuffed animals. There's a ton of really cool like handmade stuffed animals. There was actually one seller that was making little plushies of the different incarnations of the Doctor, and the Matt Smith one was precious. And then there's also people who hand make like skincare and cosmetic products. I've actually bought like a big tub of shea butter wholesale on Etsy. There's some wholesale sellers that sell like supplies for stuff. People will sell like oils or butters or essential things, fragrances that other people can use in their own creative endeavors. That's another aspect of Etsy. People make their own eyeshadows, they make their own lipsticks. There's actually a lot of handmade nail polish sellers, surprisingly. One that I actually know of that I thought about buying something from is the Black Lipstick Company that is out of Portland, where they have all these weird funky colors of lipstick that just look like they're in these little chapstick tubes. But their like main one, the one that they're famous for, is the black lipstick. So really Etsy is just this hodgepodge of a marketplace. It's basically a farmer's market on the internet. And I actually started Etsy about 2 years ago. My friend Sarah, who I've talked about several times, I shoot my blog shoots with her all the time, and she started one first because she had a lot of vintage clothing. Her mom and her grandparents had passed her down a bunch of stuff. She has very high-end taste, so she had a lot of nice vintage items that were like designer things, and so she thought, I'm not going to wear these anymore, they're not my style, I might as well start selling them. And then my friend Alexis started her shop. She doesn't sell things on Etsy anymore because she has way too many other things to do with her day. But so it was after Sarah and Alexis started hers that I did mine because, like I've mentioned before, my mom is an antique dealer. She has been dealing antiques since I was born or before then. I posted a blog post actually about this on Wonderly. I wish I could post these. Can I do this? I don't know. I'm gonna see if I can do that. Otherwise it'll be below. I did a blog post all about like nostalgia and thrifting and my mom's appreciation of antiques rubbing off on me. And that's kind of what got me into Etsy and wanting to sell vintage clothing because my mom's done it my whole life. I really like going estate sailing with her, as I've talked about in my thrifting hauls. I really love going and buying these secondhand clothing that have a life already in them. They already have stories attached to those items, and I really like that aspect of buying secondhand. And Etsy is a way of taking those secondhand items that maybe you find for $1 or like $2 and say it was a pair of like Salvatore Ferragamo heels that you got for $3 at a thrift store. You could easily sell them on Etsy for $40 depending on the condition of them. But the other side of it is that with Etsy, because it's a social thing, things get lost in the feed. Things get lost all the time in people's social feeds, in their follow boxes. So you need to be posting things all the time, consistently, because if you don't, people will lose track of your store, people will lose track of your items, because a lot of times people will list things by recently updated or by price, and so you have to be consistently updating things. You can renew things, but the downside of that, if you renew things, it does cost a fee. Every time you list a new item, it costs you 20 cents from your Etsy account. And to have an Etsy account, it's really, really easy to get one as long as you have a PayPal account. Whenever anybody buys something, their money goes into my PayPal account. It's really easy. So if you have that, it's really simple. I know they have a way of doing like credit cards now. I haven't set mine up yet just because I haven't gotten around to doing it. I'm lazy. It's not like a monthly fee. You don't have to pay to have your store up. You just pay every time you list a new item. And then every time an item sells, Etsy gets a small percentage of that. Say you sell like a $40 thing, I think they get like $1.20-ish. It's a very, very small percentage of it, but if you list your items high enough, in the long run, you still make a ton of profit. Those glasses that I posted in my last thrifting haul, bought them for $2, sold them for $40. You can see the amount of profit you can make if you have items that are especially really trendy and really highly sought after at the time. I actually recently just sold another item. It was like a crop top bralette thing, which is clearly in style right now because it's gonna be summer really soon and crop tops are all the rage. And so people were looking for that. So if you find things that are in season, on trend, highly sought after, they will go quickly because people are looking for those, people are actively searching for those items. And items do actually expire. I can't remember exactly how many months they stay in the store before they expire, before you have to relist them. But every time you do relist them, it costs 20 cents. So there is that to keep in mind. But a lot of times I will put up winter items or like off-season items because I get a lot of sales that actually go to Australia, and Australia, as you know, is the opposite seasons because they're in the southern hemisphere. So keep that in mind if you are hell-bent on having items that are specifically in season. Shipping is going to obviously cost more for you to send it to Australia, but there will be a better chance of your items selling. Probably the most annoying or the hardest part of Etsy is getting the time to photograph all of the items and going to the post office. Photographing the items, you want to make sure that your photographs are high quality, not like cell phone pictures. The lighting is preferably natural daylight, close up enough. You're going to get like a variety of angles, a variety of views of the item. It's up to you whether or not you want to have a model wearing them or if you want to just hang them on a wall, hang them on a hook. But the better the pictures are and the clearer your photos, the better chance the item is going to sell. And a lot of times when I price items, I look at other items that are really similar to them and see what they're priced at, and I price them just under. And shipping is difficult because it depends on how much somebody is willing to pay. A lot of times people will have their shipping be really low because they're already getting a really high profit on the item, and that's more desirable for a buyer to look at. They're like, I don't want to pay $9 for shipping. But if I see an item that's like $3 for shipping, but maybe the item itself is a few dollars more, they don't know the difference. So think about that when pricing your items and putting your shipping down. People don't necessarily care if your item gets there really fast when they're buying it on a shop like Etsy or eBay. They just care that they get it. And I've actually had one lady email me like angry at me because I couldn't ship out her item very quickly because I was like out of town and like I had work all week, so I couldn't get to the post office. So make sure to communicate really well with your customers once you start getting a customer base. Communicate with them very clearly when your item is going to go out. Make sure to offer them coupon codes if they return and buy another item. Coupon codes is another really good way to get your store more traffic. I actually have a coupon code for all of you guys, all of my viewers. If you want to buy anything from my shop, you can get 15% off any item, or any purchase actually. So if you want to check out my shop, you will get a coupon code because you're awesome and I love you. And when you are looking for things to sell, if you're going to have like a vintage shop, you have to make sure that the item is at least 20 years old because that is not technically certified vintage. So as long as the item is older than like 1994, you can sell it. But you can't say you have like a pair of shoes from 5 years ago and you want to sell it. you can't sell it on Etsy because they will probably catch you if you try and sell something that's new, but secondhand. But stuff like that you can sell on eBay, and that I've never sold anything on eBay, so I don't really know how that works. And as far as handmade sellers, I don't really know a lot of tips about that because I don't do handmade stuff, but I would recommend looking at a bunch of different handmade shops and see how they price their items and see how they market it. And as far as your shop, what your shop looks like, make sure you come up with a catchy but easily remembered name. Mine is Hot Mess Vintage, but it's Haute, like Haute Mess Vintage. Ha 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 ha, puns! It's like etsy.com/shop/HauteMVintage. So make sure you come up with the shop name that is catchy and relatively short, nothing too long, something that has some sort of description, and make a catchy little banner. I mean, it's basically the same thing as like on YouTube, is that you want to make it easily branded and keep it similar throughout and keep the descriptions a similar format when you're describing the item. When you're listing vintage things, make sure you include all of the measurements, because a lot of times if you list a size, if it's a vintage item, the sizes were different back then. Like a vintage 10 would be like a modern 6. So make sure you list all the sizes, like the measurements, like the waist, the chest, the length. Put any sort of stains or imperfections in the description. Try to take pictures of them so that people can see if you've like priced it lower and they might want to know why. I think those are all I can think of now. I probably talked for way too long. But yeah, so if you guys have any more questions about Etsy, leave them in the comments below. I strongly suggest you go check out my Etsy shop because I've been listing a few new things lately. I've sold a few things, and you get a coupon code, which I'll put in the description below, because I love you. So, ding. Yeah, like I said, any questions, leave them below, and I will see you guys on Saturday. Bye!